Well, good morning everyone. I'm Jen Barnes, and on behalf of our wonderful joint venture partner, the Affinity Alliance, and all the team here at the Smart Biz Project, I'd like to welcome you along to this morning's Why Websites Don't Work and How to Fix Yours for Good. So we can be running a live Q&A today. The training component of the session is pre-recorded. It takes about the first half an hour. After that, we'll be doing a live 10K in 10-minute consultation with an attendee. We'll be basing that on their website. These consultations are amazing. They unearth at least $10,000 currently being left on the table in every single business in the land. So make sure you stick around. It's well worth seeing. All right, without any further ado, let's get started. The reason your websites don't work is because everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. Today's presentation will show you a system for marketing your business to a point where it becomes instantly obvious to your prospects that they would be an absolute idiot to do business with anyone other than you at any time, anywhere, or at any price. We're going to start off with a case study. A genuine case study happened to me more than once. It's a flooring contractor business. I would routinely spend money on advertising and occasionally had this horrible story to tell. Spending 10 grand on a radio campaign. Typically they last for around about 10 days. On more than one occasion, the phone rang 15 times. One job, 2 grand. You can do the math. Net loss of 8 grand. Like I said, it happened more than once. Now I'm going to show you a parallel universe. Beam forward about a year later, after I knew what I was doing with some strategic messaging. Spent $1,300 on the same radio campaign. Changed what the ad said. Instead of getting 15 calls and 1 sale, 137, and I closed 37 of them. Upped the average price to $2,500. That's $92,500 versus an $8K loss. Strategic marketing and strategic messaging, what you're learning today is all about way bigger bang with much less buck. I'm going to show you how to leverage what you're already doing just by changing the way you do your advertising and marketing. I'm not talking about radical changes here, just simple, common sense changes that enable you to exponentially leverage your marketing's results. It's a breakthrough in advertising and marketing, and it's really easy to understand, and it's here today. The biggest part about this is it's going to show you what your marketing is supposed to look like and what it's not supposed to look like. It's a system that's based on the unchanging principles of human nature that dictate that people want to make the best decision possible. Our job as marketers, your job marketing your business, is not to ramble on about how great you are or how low your prices are. Your job is to give your potential customers total control over the decision-making process by giving them enough quality information so they can determine they're receiving the best value for money. These fundamental formulas and strategies not only make your marketing work far better, but will enable you to create what we call competition-dominating marketing. I want you to see how powerful this is and allow you to comprehend what possibilities are for your business and what a significant advantage you'll hold over your competitors when you implement it. First, there's a core distinction that I really need you to understand right now. It's the difference between strategic marketing and tactical marketing. Strategic marketing is the content of your message. It's what you're saying and how you're saying it. Tactical marketing is where you're saying it. So it's the radio station or the TV station or the website or the trade show. Almost always, without fail, when you talk about a campaign bombing, you're normally hearing people talking about the radio station doesn't work or websites don't work, without paying any attention whatsoever to the content and strategic messaging behind the ad itself. The key to effective marketing is to master the strategic side, not the tactical. What you say in your marketing and how you say it is almost always more important than the medium in which you're saying it. The real leveraging is in the messaging itself, and that is 100% the strategic side of marketing. During this presentation, you're going to learn how to say things in a way that will make a profound difference to your marketing results. It's a revolutionary new lead generation system, and it works with all sizes, all shapes of businesses with absolutely no exceptions. You know, it's so important. We call this strategic messaging the missing marketing link. Strategic messaging means you will never, ever again compete on price, and you'll be starting to sell your product and services for what they're actually worth. You're going to drive more leads. You'll double to 100 times. You'll convert a higher percentage of those leads. You'll increase the amount of your average sale, and you will get a far bigger bang for your marketing buck. You will finally have control over your marketing and lead generation results. So, what's the actual purpose of marketing? In a nutshell, marketing is supposed to facilitate the decision-making process. Some need to buy what you sell. Others need to be educated to buy what you sell. And other times still, they already know that they want to buy it, but they don't know who they want to buy it from. And irrespective of all of that, most will have questions or concerns that need answering before they pull out their credit card. Okay, consider this though. Because the prospects out there are not experts in what you do, they don't really know the relevant issues surrounding the purchase. They don't know how to make a good decision. They really can't tell the difference from the outside looking in, the difference between the best deal and a major mistake. This leaves an opportunity for you to provide them with this information and guide them through the buying process. Consider this example. How many home extensions have you ever bought? I don't know, some people have done plenty. I have done 0. Do you have any idea whatsoever how to go about buying a home extension, especially if you've never done one before? Could you tell the difference between a $20,000 and a $50,000 extension by a picture on a website? When people need to buy what you sell, they are just as clueless on what you're selling as I am about extensions. Your job is to facilitate your prospect's decision-making process. And it's actually pretty simple. All prospects and customers want the exact same thing. They want to feel confident that their money has been well spent and that their decision has been made to the best of their ability. They want to get the best deal. People instinctively want to make the best decision possible and not feel like they've got to second guess that decision or have that ugly feeling of being ripped off. You, as a marketer, all you have to do is figure out what's important to your prospects. Educate them as to what constitutes the best deal and the greatest value, and show them direct proof that you actually provide that best deal in terms of price and, more importantly, in terms of value. Now, all this has to be communicated in a way that they'll pay attention to and that they'll believe in and take action on. When this occurs, the prospect gets what they really want from you, complete confidence that they have made the best decision possible and got the best value. Now, here's the problem. Instead of using marketing to educate and facilitate decision-making processes, most businesses out there fill their marketing with self-serving jargon that really is only a thinly veiled way of saying, "Oi, buy it from me," rather than giving the money to my competitor. That's why people have become jaded and why they resist marketing. Prospective buyers want to be educated so they can feel confident when making their purchase, and no one's providing information around it. But here's the great news. The first one who does provide prospects with quality decision-making information wins all the profitable customers available. Get set for some brutal truth. If you are always competing on price, it is 100% your own fault. Let that sink in for a bit. Here's why. From the prospect's perspective, all things appear equal, so they default to the business offering the lowest price. Our system, the one you're seeing today, is a step-by-step program for innovating and marketing your business. This system will allow you to first be better than the competition, and secondly, do far better marketing than your competition. This allows you to separate your business from your competition and become the obvious choice for your prospects to do business with. Consider this. There are actually two sides to your business. First, there's the inside reality. And second, there's the outside perception. The inside reality encompasses everything you do. It's your skills, your service systems, your commitment to excellence. It's your passion. It's the way you conduct your business on a daily basis. Your outside perception, however, is how customers and prospects perceive your business. It's developed through the interactions that your prospects and customers have with your business. But here's the problem. Let's say you provide unmatched and unequaled customer service, and your customers absolutely love you. None of that makes a difference if your prospects don't even know you exist. Or because of your inability to market your business properly, their perception is that you're no different, no better, and no worse from your competition. I would estimate that well over 95% of all businesses out there are completely inept when it comes to marketing, and the end result is that your inside reality and your outside perception are wildly different. You see, regardless of how good you are, regardless of your inside reality, your prospect isn't going to be able to figure out your true inside reality based on your current marketing. You simply appear to be just another business selling whatever it is you sell. Remember the flooring contractor business? 137 calls versus 15? God, I certainly do remember that. That's an extra 122 calls a month. Those calls came in purely because of the changes made to the outside perception, that's the marketing, to accurately reflect the inside reality of a particular expertise that we had in the business. Your marketing must do the heavy lifting for your business by delivering eager, qualified prospects to your sales funnel. Look, competition today is more fierce now than ever. The number of competitors you have right now is the number of choices your prospects have. That's how many businesses they have to sift through as they attempt to reach a buying decision. And the internet's only made this worse. Businesses that are advertising on or offline spend a ton of time, money, and effort just to get prospects to their website. And what do they see when they get there? The same old lame junk like service, quality, dependability, all the same old lame junk that they saw in the brochure before the internet was even invented. And, by the way, the same lame old junk that all of their competitors have on all of their brochures and all of their websites. Then they curse the internet. The reality is they're getting enough people to that website. They're getting enough traffic. It's their lame website messaging that's the real problem. The reality is that the internet is just another medium to screw up your marketing with. But you really do need to have a website that works. And that means making sure your strategic messaging is right, or it will fail or limp along at best. There's an old saying, if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. But the problem is that while most businesses are very good at knowing what Jane Doe wants, they don't have the ability to market their inside reality to the outside world through their advertising and marketing. They can't lead their prospects to say, I would be an idiot to do business with anybody other than you, anytime, anywhere, or at any price. Listen, we've been successfully generating leads for businesses for over 20 years, and it's been my experience that most businesses could stand some improvement in both their inside reality and their outside perception. But for some reason, they struggle the most with their outside perception. In other words, they've got great businesses. Most of them offer exceptional value. They have a good inside reality. But with all the competition that exists, they have a major problem differentiating themselves from the rest of their marketplace. They're simply not getting the value of their business across to those who are on the outside looking in. So what's your outside perception? Why don't you go and grab a piece of marketing? Take a look at your ad or your website. Yeah, to the website. We're on websites today. Is it instantly obvious that what makes you better, unique, or different? Do you show your prospects how to judge your entire industry? Do you show them what factors they need to be considering when deciding to buy what you sell? And how do you provide greater value than all of your competitors? Most businesses' outside perception is nowhere near an accurate reflection of their inside reality. So I'm going to show you why this is happening and what you can do to fix this for your business forever. I told you at the beginning of this presentation that everything you know about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. Let me clarify that. Based on what we've discussed so far, the reason everything you currently know about marketing does not allow you to accurately portray your inside reality to the outside world, reason why, is a product of decades of being conditioned to do marketing the wrong way. In the very early days of advertising, and I'm talking the late 1800s, early 1900s, much of the advertising that existed back then was comparative in nature. Ads wouldn't say, hey, we're better. They'd say, hey, we're better, and here's exactly why. Back then, they did a pretty good job of building a case and helping prospects understand the important issues in regards to their particular product or service. The result was that the outside perception was generally a pretty good reflection of the inside reality. Then the most significant event in the history of marketing and advertising occurred in 1945. Television was commercially introduced for the very first time. Up until then, national advertising distribution was extremely limited to radio and print advertising, and very expensive. But with the introduction of TV, large advertisers could buy a commercial and reach just about every living person in the country for about $4,000 a minute, usually sold in 1 or 2 minute blocks. What a bargain! And that's in 1950s money. Okay, back then, there were only 3 channels. So, as you can imagine, demand quickly outstripped supply. Prices shot through the roof. In response to the rising cost, the length of commercials shrank down from 2 minutes to 30 seconds. This meant that advertisers had less time to educate us on the important and relevant issues and build a case as to why they were different, better, or unique. So instead of attempting to use shorter ads that highlighted their comparative benefits, advertisers changed tactics and started using slogans. That change made it harder and harder for the outside perception to accurately reflect the inside reality. But remember, what's marketing's first job is to simply get the prospect's attention. So even running just 30-second ads, getting the attention still wasn't a problem for these advertisers. But then what? That's right, after you grab a prospect's attention, you must next facilitate their decision-making process. Companies and their ad agencies found that this was a lot harder to do in 30 seconds. But here's what they also found out, that they didn't really need to do it. Because the number of real competitors back then was wonderfully few, they could spend a ton of money running 30-second ads and win by default. Now, if there happened to be 2 or 3 major competitors jockeying for the same prospects, like the Pepsi and Coke scenario, that was fine. There was plenty of business to divide, 2 or 3 ways. The bottom line is that a company's inside reality and outside perception really didn't have to match up. The lack of choices eliminated this necessity. So the focus for all marketing and advertising shifted to simply getting the prospect's attention. That's when advertising lost its focus on selling and shifted its focus to creativity. The idea was to get into the consumer's brain with something creative that would stimulate them and cause them to recall the product later on. That's when slogans became the de facto marketing standard that's still in use today. Breakfast of Champions, home of the Whopper, beans means Heinz, you get the idea. This new creative approach took over advertising as we know it and has filtered into all other advertising media, including radio, newspaper, magazines, billboards, you name it, and latterly websites in the online world. Once this new creative message was in place, the big companies spent lots of money and basically gave people no other option but to remember their message. After hearing things go better with Coke for the 8,000th time, you're going to remember that whether you like it or not. We call this C&R advertising. C for creative, R for repetition. We call this the era of the brand builders. Think Mad Men. And the 1950s, 60s and 70s. It was a no-brainer formula for market domination for those companies with budgets big enough to pull this off. And that's when it happened, folks. Ad agencies started running this formula for all of their other clients, even the ones with much smaller pockets. Business schools started teaching marketing and advertising based on these methods that were successfully implemented by the big companies and churning out graduates who only knew one way to do marketing. Brand builder marketing and advertising became the de facto standard for how you do it. And after a few years, no one even questioned the formula, which brings us to the crux of the problem. All of us alive today, with no exceptions, grew up in an era where almost all of the advertising you've ever seen or ever heard is a product of the era of the brand builders. And as a result, we've all become conditioned as to what constitutes a good ad. We learned the fundamental pattern for what to put in an ad. We learned about slogans, jingles, and being funny. We learned that in marketing and advertising, the outside perception no longer has to reflect the inside reality. Let me repeat. Everything you've ever learned about generating leads and growing your business is wrong. And now you know why. As a result of this new breed of advertising, jargon has now started to dominate all marketing and all advertising. Think of jargon as words or phrases that are drearily commonplace. They're really predictable. They lack power to evoke interest through overuse and repetition. However, they're nevertheless used as if they're original and significant. In advertising, you see and hear jargon all the time. Since businesses only have 30 seconds to try and convey what makes them special, they lump everything into jargon, such as largest selection, most professional, lowest prices, highest quality, best service, fastest, most convenient, largest in the universe, more honest, we're the experts, we specialize, work harder, get the job done right first time. Been in business 4,000 years. Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't use these kind of things. They do make up the foundation of your inside reality. But consider this. If my marketing says that I offer the highest quality and the greatest service, isn't that commonplace and predictable? Aren't all my competitors saying exactly the same thing? It lacks power because it's overused and repeated. Advertisers use jargon as though it was original and significant. Does my inside reality really shine through jargon? You see, you simply can't demonstrate and exhibit your inside reality using jargon. It is impossible. Stop trying. And unfortunately, the end result is that the outside perception is that you're no different to anybody else. There's absolutely no distinction, no separation, and no differentiation. None. You just flat out can't make your inside reality and outside perception match up when you use jargon. Okay, take another look at your website and run the jargon evaluation technique number 1. The well, I would hope so. When you make a claim, don't think about it in terms of the words coming out of your mouth. Think about it in terms of the words entering your prospect's ears. This will enable you to realize just how absurd most jargon sounds. Look at the messaging in your marketing and ask yourself if the prospect's immediate response might just be, well, I would hope so. Classic example. Satisfaction guaranteed. Free quotes. We accept Visa and MasterCard. Well, I should hope so. The problem is that if your business has an exceptional inside reality and you're using the same jargon as everyone else, then the outside perception is that you're all the same. That's when prospects default to the business offering the lowest price. Price has now become the only determining factor. All right. Evaluation technique number 2. Who else can say that? Okay. Stop thinking in terms of who else can do what I do. Instead, think in terms of who else can say what I say. Because the very unfortunate answer to that question is anybody and everybody can say what you say. Okay, one final jargon detection technique. It's called the Scratch Out Write-In test. Take a look at your website. Now, imagine scratching out your name and writing in the name of your competitors. And that's it. If the marketing is still valid, if the website still conveys the same basic message, then guess what? You just failed that test. Is it evident that this might be a problem for you now, and a tremendous competitive advantage if you could figure out how to fix this for your own business? Introducing what we call the conversion equation. This enables you to eliminate jargon forever. It will also enable you to become a communications powerhouse. Make your outside perception an excellent reflection of your inside reality. And finally, you'll start getting the results from your marketing that you should be getting. Okay, the conversion equation has 4 main components. First is the interrupt. This is simply the process of getting your ideal customer to pay attention to your marketing, best achieved by appealing to them emotionally. The second component is to engage. Once you've interrupted, promise your prospect a solution and information to help them make the best decision possible. This is also best accomplished on an emotional level. Then we come to educate. Once you've interrupted and engaged, you have to give them something that allows them to logically understand how and why you can solve their emotional problem. This is accomplished by giving detailed inside reality revealing information. This turns the corner from an emotional sell into a logical one. And the last component is the offer. Now, the prospect is engaged emotionally and logically. The last step is for you to give that prospect a low or better no-risk way for them to take the next step into your sales process. This can be accomplished by offering a free marketing tool of some sort, like a report, video content, seminar, something that educates them even more about what you do. The prospect is in complete control of the decision-making process. This conversion equation follows the formula for what marketing is supposed to have done all along. Namely, to interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. Remember earlier we discussed that if you want to know why Jane Doe buys what Jane Doe buys, you've got to see the world through Jane Doe's eyes. Well, I would submit to you that if you want to know what Jane Doe sees, you better first understand how Jane Doe's brain works, how it processes information and makes decisions. To understand this process, there are 3 major concepts to explain. 3 concepts that no one else in the world of marketing seems to understand, but 3 concepts that will make all the difference in the world to your marketing's effectiveness and your profitability. The 3 things you need to know about Jane Doe's brain are downtime, uptime, and the reticular activator. Right, let's start with downtime. This is that hypnotic state of running automatic patterns that allow your brain to perform habitual tasks without any conscious thought. You do this all the time. In terms of marketing, people see and hear ads with their eyes and ears, but they don't notice them on a conscious level. Uptime. This is the brain's state of alertness or active engagement. Here's what uptime means when it comes to your marketing. When your prospect is in uptime mode, they consciously notice your ad and they're open to your suggestions and solutions. Something captures their attention and compels them to keep paying attention. The key to marketing is to get your prospect out of downtime and into uptime. Once you understand how to do this, you'll have the ability of making a fortune with your marketing. Now, let's look at the reticular activator. This is the part of your brain that's on the lookout 24/7, even when you're asleep. It constantly scans the environment looking for things that fall into any of these three categories. Things that are familiar, things that are unusual, things that are problematic. When the brain detects any of these three categories on a subconscious level, it sends a message over to the conscious side of the brain and says, "Oi, wake up! Here's something you need to pay attention to." Whatever those familiar, unusual, or problematic things are, we call them activators. Whenever it finds one, it pokes your conscious brain and snaps it out of downtime mode and into uptime alert mode. So, what does all of that have to do with marketing then? The short answer is absolutely everything. Understanding what wakes people up so they pay attention to what's going on in your marketing, past that interrupt stage and into the engage stage. When we engage the prospect, we've just increased our chances of selling to them by 1,000%. This is going to solve the problem that every other marketer hasn't been able to figure out, which is not just getting them interrupted, but also getting them engaged. Not just finding any old activator, but finding the dead right activator. Look, any idiot can simply interrupt people. In fact, it's actually really easy to do. The so-called marketing gurus with ponytails and Porsches are doing it all day, every day. Those guys prefer to use activators that are based on familiar and unusual because they're the easiest to pull off. Have you ever noticed how many animals are used in advertising? That's because animals are familiar and likable. And the idea is that those animals will interrupt you by poking your conscious brain when they're detected by your reticular activator. Chum has a Scotty dog, Bundy Rum has its bear. All of these animals have good interim value based on their familiarity. That's also a major reason that big advertisers use celebrity, familiarity. And what about activators that are based on unusual things? Well, that's what creativity is all about. Creativity's main purpose in advertising is to dream up something so weird, so shocking, so unusual that it'll snap you out of downtime and into uptime, otherwise known as the interrupt. But here's the key, and what may just be the most important thing you'll learn in this presentation today, and that is once the brain is activated, once it's been broken out of downtime and into uptime, it wants to be engaged. So it immediately and subconsciously searches for additional clarifying information. It's searching for facts. If it finds them, it will become engaged. If not, it will snap back down into downtime as quick as look at you. We call these important, relevant issues hot buttons. If you're a cricket fan and your reticular activator detects Shane Warne is on TV, it notices that on a conscious level because Shane Warne's familiar. He's an activator. Then your brain immediately asks, hey, what's Shane Warne doing getting hair replacement? Is there anything here for me that's important or relevant in my life? In other words, is hair loss a hot button for me at this point in my life? An activator is something that snaps a person from downtime to uptime and is based on something that's familiar, unusual, or problematic. But an activator can also be classified as a hot button if and only if it's based on something that's important and relevant to your prospect. Your best bet to successfully interrupt and engage your target market is to identify problems, frustrations, annoyances that your prospects have and address them in your marketing. Their pain, in most cases, is their hot button. All we're doing here is tapping into a problem that they already have. We're not trying to manufacture a crisis for them or anything like that. We're merely poking their problems and pointing them out so that their reticular activator notices and brings it onto their active radar screen. Now here's the key point to all of this, and one that's no one seems to get in the big land of ad agencies, but one that you'll need to know in order to make all of this work for you. The activators that are used to interrupt the prospect must be based on relevant hot buttons. If not, the prospect will be momentarily interrupted, but will revert back from uptime to downtime quick as a look at you. This is what we call false uptime. This happens in marketing and advertising all the time. Most marketing interrupts, but it doesn't engage. Just like Shane Warne and the hair replacement. If you don't have a hair loss issue, you're back in downtime just like that. You've been conditioned to believe that as long as you've interrupted the prospect, that that's it, that that's good enough. But you have to realize that that's only the interrupt stage. It's only a quarter of the conversion equation. You've got to include all four components: interrupt, engage, educate, and offer, to get the maximum results from your marketing and advertising. Now, when it comes to writing marketing, we need to portray hot buttons in the form of headlines. The headline is the first opportunity you have to interrupt Jane Doe. You've got maybe 1 to 3 seconds max to interrupt the prospect. So the headline has activators in it. It just has to. And they have to be based on things that are important to Jane Doe. Remember hot buttons? Words and phrases that describe problems or frustrations that the prospect is feeling, so that their reticular activator latches onto them and snaps them into uptime. Let's give you an example of a child psychologist. Works with kids with behavioural problems. Most types of professionals like this say things like, we offer parenting advice and resources. We can help get your child under control. Learn the secrets of well-behaved children. But I can tell you what, as a parent with screaming, out-of-control kids, losing it in the supermarket, why would I want to know the secrets of well-behaved children? See what I mean when no one's getting it? That everything you know about marketing is wrong? If you have a child like that, really, really losing it, embarrassing you, out of control in the supermarket, then aren't you desperate for a solution to that behaviour? So what if the child psychologist used a headline, "Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming and belligerent attitude of your child?" Doesn't that immediately address the conversation going on in the heads of these parents? Won't that headline immediately interrupt them, really knock them for a six, out of their downtime into their uptime? Look, of course it will, because it hits on the prospect's hot buttons of uncontrollable kids. Okay, to wrap this up about interrupt and engage, let me address the topic of engage just for one quick tick. To successfully engage, all you have to do is use a sub-headline that promises the reader that if they keep reading or listening, they will get information that will help facilitate a really great decision. Not sales information, not here's how great we are information, but bona fide decision facilitating information. Sometimes the headline itself will engage, but more frequently it's the sub-headline that makes the promise to educate and therefore engages. The child psychologist used the headline, "Are you sick and tired of yelling, screaming, belligerent attitude of your child?" His sub-headline, as you can see, says, "Now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home." Show me just one parent experiencing that sort of behavior from their kid who wouldn't immediately respond to this website. The sub-headline has engaged that prospect to continue reading and find out what that information is. That brings us to the third and fourth components of the conversion equation: educate and offer. I mentioned earlier that every marketing piece should contain a no-risk offer, something to encourage the prospect to take the next step. And that offer should generally be to receive additional information, something that further educates them and builds your case. Now here's the real key to success in marketing. The right offer allows you to capture a large percentage of all future buyers, in addition to those who are really needing to buy right now. There's an educational process that the prospect goes through from the moment they begin to think about buying your product or service to the point where they actually do. Most marketing out there only caters for now buyers who will be making a decision in the very near future and does absolutely nothing to educate those who are just thinking about it right now, but who probably will buy later. And here's the big problem with that. At any given moment, now buyers represent no more than 1 to 5% of all of those who are ultimately going to buy what you sell. You see, 95 to 99% of your prospects who are still in thinking about it mode, they're trying to gather information and no one's giving it to them. This is where the fourth component of the conversion equation is absolutely massive. Your offer gives you the opportunity to provide additional educational information to that 99% who are still in information gathering mode, capturing valuable information about who these people are so that you can proactively market to them on an ongoing basis. The child psychologist offers information on gaining and maintaining control of their child in 60 seconds. But here's the great part about having an offer like that. For a starter, that parent with a screaming out-of-control kid cannot wait to download that Get Control of Your Kid in 60 Seconds offer. And what the child psychologist has now got is that prospect's name and contact information so that they can proactively market and communicate with that prospect from now until ever, by providing them with additional decision-making information until they're finally ready to buy. Depending on what you sell in the specific situation, there are around 8 main types of informational offers that we create to offer prospects. Compelling informational offers. If you want to dominate your marketplace, you have got to get your offers right as well. Hopefully this is all coming together for you now. Interrupt, engage, educate, and offer. This is the conversion equation. That equation is literally the backbone of all the incredibly successful marketing campaigns we've ever put together. So let's go ahead and wrap this up now. You can probably tell from the depth of this information in this presentation that this is a bona fide step-by-step system that helps business owners just like you become financially free using superior marketing that makes your phone ring. And after all, isn't that what every business owner wants? Right, hello, I'm back again live. Let's cross now to our 10K in 10-minute consult. Today we're going to do it with Annie Walker of Bathurst Hypnotherapy. Right, let's see if I can unmute you. Annie. Annie, where are you, Annie? Annie. Just try and unmute you. Annie, are you there?
Yes, I am, Jen. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Just a second, I'll get your site up. Hold a second. Screen. Okay. All right, so I've got your website up there. Annie, how are you today?
I'm very well, thanks, Jen. How are you doing today?
Good, thank you. Okay, so what I'm going to run through is this 10K and 10-minute consultation. So are you ready to go?
Yes, absolutely.
Lovely. So looking at your website, which I've got up there, can you see that on the screen, by the way?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. Okay. Roughly how many leads does that produce a month, a day, or week? What do you keep track of?
Oh, goody. I keep track of this stuff. So let's see, about 8 leads per month.
Oh, okay, cool. And how many of them do you reckon turn into paying customers?
I'd say around 70%. Yeah,
okay.
70%.
Okay, cool. So your conversion rate's good. Okay, so now what's your average sale? What does that
That's
look
an
like?
easy one. Pricing spans from around $140 for a single session to $740 packages.
Okay, cool. Now, look, mindful that as we were discussing in the training earlier that got interrupted, most sites today only cater to now buyers, and your site looks as though it's one of those. So what now buyers represent is less than 5% of all of those who are actually going to eventually buy what you sell. So from here on, and for the purpose of this consultation, I'm going to roll with a lead generation and landing page strategy for you. So when it comes to generating leads that easily convert into your perfect customer, the idea is for your headline, which is the biggest, boldest, baddest thing you've got on your page, it needs to stop that ideal customer in their tracks by highlighting a problem that they have that they don't want. Okay? So Annie, your current headline is your logo. It's your Bathurst Hypnotherapy logo. And the next most significant thing, I think, is your slider, which is rotating between smoking, weight loss. I saw phobias. I saw a girl with a frog. I think there was sports performance. So tell me, out of all of those, who is your perfect customer? You know, which clients do you like the most? What ones do you do best with?
Now that's another easy one, Jen. I love virtual gastric band clients.
You love what? Sorry.
Virtual gastric band. Don't say that quickly though.
Okay.
Virtual gastric band clients.
What the?
So virtual gastric banding, it's a way of losing weight, and it's permanent, has a 90 to 95% success rate.
Wow.
And firstly, it's not surgical, which is fantastic. So there are no waiting lists or recovery times. And virtual gastric banding is done by retraining the mind over a 4-session program, and the retraining means you feel full faster with smaller, healthier portions and none of the typical weight regain issues. And best of all, it's not a diet, ladies, so hear that, it's not a diet, there's no white knuckling.
White knuckling, that's a good one. I know that one well. Okay, so in that case, if we, looking at this and using like a landing page lead generation strategy on your site here, if we took out your logo and your slider and put a massive headline that read something along the lines of, you know, has your weight started to impact your life or your health? Or have you tried everything and are desperate to lose weight? Do you think you'd get more weight loss specific inquiries?
Well, I guess I would, yes. Sure.
Righto. Now, let's look at your sub-headline. So think about the job of the sub-headline, and that is to engage that perfect customer, which is now a weight loss customer, by promising a solution to this problem. So yours currently, I think your current sub-headline, it says, alter your mind, alter your life. That's what I would pick. So what if your sub-headline said something more like, learn about the no diet, no surgery, no waiting list, and no weight regain way of losing weight? Do you reckon this would have a positive impact in terms of your inquiry?
Yeah, I imagine it would for sure, Jen.
All right. So looking at the rest of the page, okay, so let's look at just this front page. What if we ripped out what's there and replaced it with a couple of paragraphs of really, you know, educational copy? You know, what is the nuts and bolts of the virtual gastric band? Something to demonstrate to this perfect customer that you can not only fix their problem, but you can do it better than anyone else. And then offer them some tantalizing informational offer or a next step, something like a free trial or an ideas guide or a video content, something that they just can't resist, but also something that they're going to pop their name and email address happily onto your site. How many of those kind of inquiries do you reckon you'd get, you know, in let's say an average month?
Oh, God, I don't know, but I imagine a lot. So let me play with you a bit. So that's 50 a month?
50? You know, our experience, it could be up to 100, 100 times what you were getting. But listen, if you're going to say 50, I'm going to say let's halve that, okay? Let's run with 25, okay? Yeah. Now, given that you'll only be attracting your perfect customers now, so all of these people are weight loss and now somewhere on the interest spectrum of virtual gastric bands, right?
Sure.
Do you reckon of those 25, do you reckon that your conversions will improve much from your 70%, which is pretty high anyway? Do you reckon it would go up a bit or stay about the same?
Oh, yeah, I reckon it would. I reckon it would go up a bit.
Or let's just take it up a notch. Let's just say 5%. So we'll increase your conversions by 5%, okay, based on the fact that you're just getting homogeneous inquiry. Okay, now what about your pricing? Now, given, what is your gastric band, how much do you charge for your gastric banding now? $740, was it?
Yeah, 740 now, and that's a discounted rate. So the full rate's 910. So do you think we could raise it to that?
I have absolutely no doubt, Annie. I have absolutely no doubt. Mindful that you'll be the queen of virtual gastric banding once you niche down and focus in this area. Okay, now let me do the math. So you've gone from 8 leads to 25 in a month. Your conversion ratio's gone up 5%. Your pricing's gone up, what's that, 60, 170 over, that was the 4-session package, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I tell you what, Annie, we've found you 10K more per month.
Wow.
As opposed to 10K more in total. You've gone up $12,718 per month. That equates to $155,000 more over a year.
And that's just a tiny increase of 5%.
Yeah, yeah. So you've focused, you've niched your market, you've improved your conversions slightly, you've increased your price because you're able to focus on this market now. And look, we haven't even touched on increasing your transactions or improving your profit margins. So Annie, that is a great result. Thank you.
It looks brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Nice one, Annie. Thanks, honey. You're off the hook.
Thank you.
No worries. Okay, so that is the nuts and bolts of what a 10K in 10 minutes consultation looks like. And I didn't have the watch on, but I thought that was way quicker.
Now, we really need a favour. We're writing a book on finding any small business 10K in 10 minutes, as you might have guessed, and we really, really need case studies. So if you're okay with us using the data from your consultation, we're offering to do free 10K in 10-minute consults with everybody on today's webinar. So if you want to book one, email me now. There's the email address, jen@smartbizproject.com. And we'll also be sending everybody on the call today and everybody who registered a link to make an appointment for the consult. So if that sounds good to you, we would really, really appreciate your help. Thanks for your time today. It's been great. Have a great day and see you again soon.